Now we have all of the labels working, but notice how all of our elements are all bunched up together. And that is because these are all inline elements, so they just go one right after another. And even if we change the size of them, they just go one right after another. So we want to make some changes to this. Let's go ahead, and to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to actually define divs. So we're going to create a div, and inside that div, we're going to put one label. Oops, that's the wrong place. We don't want the legend to be part of that. So we're going to leave the legend where it is, but for every label and input, we're going to put it inside a div. So here's the opening div will go before the label, and the closing div will go after the input. So just like that. And let's see if we can do this for each one. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to open it right there before the label there. My editor's helping me, so let me see if I can capture both of them at the same time. Every time I add an opening tag, it adds the closing one. Okay, so I'm going to put the opening tag before the label and the closing one after the input. And then again, after the input, I'm going to close the div and open the next one. After the input, I'm going to close the div and open another one. And we're just going to do that for each of these. And that way we're going to have a div. Now on this last one, I'm going to close the div, but I'm not going to open a new one. All right, so I'll get rid of that opening tag. So there we've created divs for each pair. Now if we refresh, we see them each on their own line, right? Because a div is a block element, and so they come one right after another. Now there's no space between the divs, there's no margin or padding because a reset style sheet has been added. If you look at styles, there's a reset style sheet that's been added that gets rid of, on the divs, gets rid of all the margin and padding. So there's no space between them, but they're each are on their own line. So here we're making progress. Well, we still want to do some styling to these. So since we're going to have multiple divs and we're going to want to style them together, like all in the same, we're going to use a class, right? We're not going to use an ID because then they would each be unique, but we want these to all be the same. We want to style all of the rows the same. So we're going to add a class equals formRow on each of these divs. So in the opening tag of each div, add the class formRow. And that's in the opening tag. All right, and save that and refresh. Okay, now we haven't added any style, so it looks the same. To add style, we're going to be adding it in the rbforms.css file. And so for that to work, we're going to want to go into our HTML file, and we're going to want to link that style sheet. So up here with the style sheets, let's go ahead and link it. So it's the link, and the href on this one is going to be, we're going to put, it's in the styles folder, and then it's the rb_forms CSS. The relationship is going to be style sheet, and then we can close that link tag. All right, now notice that there are some styles already in here, and these are for the flex layout. And the flex layout and how to do those are described in tutorial 5 in the textbook. And that's a tutorial that we're actually not going to cover in this class. And since it's not covered, I've already added that code for you. So it's already in there. If you want to understand what that code is doing, go ahead and work through that tutorial 5 and it'll explain it to you. So now that we've added that style, we can refresh. And there's what those flexbox did. It's put them side by side. And it has lined up the boxes and the labels so they're uniform. So that's the style we already have. We want to do some more. We want to add some space here. So let's go back to the formRow. And here we want to add some padding. So we do some padding. Let's make the top and the bottom padding 7 pixels, and the left and the right can stay at 0 pixels. So we save that and refresh. And there we have a little bit of space between them.